Swimming like a shark in a shrimp tank. Big fish, small pond in the shrimp tank.
Welcome back to another episode of the Shrimp Tank. We come to you virtually from Seattle and the entire Pacific Northwest. Listen, if you want to learn how to start, grow, or run a successful business, you are in the right place. This is where we say street smarts and book smarts collide. Hello again, everyone. I'm Dan Weedin. I'm joined today by my co-host, Craig Swanson. Craig and I are excited to bring in today's guest. Our guest is Dave Galy. Dave is the founder and CEO of Sparta Services. Dave Galy is a dynamic and visionary Microsoft solution architect at Sparta Services, where he empowers clients with cutting-edge IT strategy, solution development, and training within the Microsoft stack. He brings a wealth of experience from his career at Microsoft with the Azure and AI team and 10 years in property management and real estate development. He holds a bachelor's in international business from Vanguard University and an MBA in finance from Washington State University. He doesn't know this, but I'm a Husky, so I don't know. We may have to talk about that at some point, just for fun. Dave is driven by creating innovative and impactful secure solutions that leverage the power of AI within the Microsoft stack. He is also an enthusiastic skier, traveler, and hiker. Dave, welcome. We will be right with you. Everyone, as always, you know this, you can find us wherever you get your podcasts. We're on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, Stitcher, and YouTube. And I know, Craig, you don't want me to forget Overcast. You can say we are ubiquitous. Now, before we bring on Dave, hello there, Craig.
Hello, Dan. I love your kind of froggy voice today. How are you feeling this week?
You know, I feel fine, but this darn cold it actually, the cough lingers. The cold's gone, the congestion's gone, but the little cough has lingered on. So maybe it's just my new voice. Maybe it's kind of the James Earl Jones that I'm getting.
A little deep, a little rumbly.
A little deep, a little rumbly. I could maybe go on, become a disc jockey somewhere.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, I asked you before the show, I wanted you to come up with a banter. I'm the one who always comes up with banter, so I'm giving our co-hosts a chance to come up with something fun. What do you got for me today?
Well, so this is a leap year. So it had me thinking about where we all were 4 years ago in the last leap year, which was 2020. And I'll tell you what, March 2020 was right before or right during the time it all changed.
Something happened in March 2020?
Something happened. We all got locked into our living rooms. And so I just wanted to ask, my question is, what were you doing right before it all changed? I think I had just flown back from my last event in January. I flew back from a California TED Talk that a friend of mine was giving. I remember being on the plane. There were some rumblings about this thing that was happening in China. And then within a month later, I went from flying 50,000 miles a year to not leaving my driveway for a month at a time.
Yeah. Well, my memory is my granddaughter had just turned 3. Her birthday is in early March. She just turned 3. And there was a party, but we'd heard all these rumblings. It was early March. And so all the family was there, but we were elbow bumping. Nobody was shaking hands. We were elbow bumping, we were doing that. And not really sure about what this all meant. The other thing that I remembered, I think it was like March 9th or 7th or 9th. I was driving to a client's. It was going to be the last in-person client meeting I think I had in a year. I don't know. But I remember listening to the radio, and on the news when it came on, they said the University of Washington was shutting down. The campus was shutting down. And it was like, oh, this is serious. This is really serious. And I remember that really that just your question brought me back to that. So with that, I want to bring on, and I just realized I misspoke and gave Dave's name incorrectly. Dave Galy. I apologize for the error, Dave. That's what happens when you don't ask the right questions in advance. Dave Galy, I'm going to bring you into this, Dave. Where were you 4 years ago? I know your business hadn't started yet, so I'm a little curious. What are your memories of March of 2020? And tell us a little bit about the business that you started a year later.
Dan, Craig, I appreciate you guys having me on the Shrimp Tank. This is such an exciting opportunity. So 2020, I was working at Microsoft and doing a lot of traveling. Doing a lot of traveling and really kind of dreaming up what Sparta Services was going to look like. And so yeah, so 2020 I was also in grad school as well. I was wrapping up my MBA at Washington State. So heads down in really kind of the creating the vision of what Sparta Services is today.
That's fantastic. So you went from being an employee at like one of the biggest companies in the world, very stable, very secure, to launching your own business, still within the Microsoft ecosystem. But tell me what did you dream for Sparta Services, and like how is it mapping to what you were dreaming?
Yes, great question, Craig. So I I really have had the passion for really driving solutions. I've always been someone who works with my hands, fix things. I think back to my very first car. I had a 1987 Jaguar XJ6 that my aunt gave me, and of course the engine did not run. And so part of what I had to do is I had to figure out how to fix it. And so naturally, I've always been kind of a solutions driven type of guy. And that's kind of really where Sparta Services was born out of, is really kind of how do we drive solutions to drive operational efficiencies for clients in the Microsoft stack. And so naturally, with my background in real estate development and property management, that was really the niche for me, was to let's bring technology back to an industry that's traditionally, slower to adopt technology.
You know what, Dan? I'm not hearing you, so you might be muted or something. But I'll actually ask a follow-up question here. You mentioned real estate because you've got this really interesting niche that you with a lot of your core clients at Sparta. And I was wondering if you could just kind of tell us, like, who are these clients that you've been spending like a majority of your time supporting in the last couple of years? And how are their needs different from just like an average business?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So our core clientele is property management companies. So think of so management companies that manage high-rise, mid-rise, master plan communities or condos. They provide the operations for managing your community's aesthetics and then enforcing the governing documents. And for us, we support the management companies to make sure that they're able to do their best work in supporting their homeowners. And so our clients range from the East Coast to the West Coast, from Miami to Boston, really all over the U.S.
That's really interesting. By the way, Craig, I guess that's what happens. As I mentioned earlier, I'm still trying to deal with the cough, so I turned off my mic and I forgot to turn it back on. So I'm going to ask a really dumb question, Dave, and I apologize for it, but there might be other people wondering the same thing. Not being a tech guy at all, what does Microsoft stack mean? I don't know. I know what the word stack means, but I don't know when you're saying Microsoft stack, what does that mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, Microsoft's products really range from, what everyone knows, from Outlook to Word, Excel, to, the complexity of, Azure Virtual Desktop and remote environments, to even their security solutions for endpoints and online. And so there's definitely a good breadth of what Microsoft provides, even to the tune of CRM, right? Dynamics 365, and so forth. And so really for us, we kind of take the strategic approach of understanding, what are clients using in Microsoft, and then ultimately, how do we make sure they're better utilizing it, right? Getting their bang for their buck. I think I think the tune that I'm hearing these days is really, how do we become better operators, right? And so that's kind of been the motto right now for 2024 for many of our clients.
Well, I would imagine with everything we were talking about with the transition from 2020 to 2024, how many of your clients have had to bolt on a bunch of remote access? And where are your clients now? Are they mostly remote? Are they in person? Are they all together? Like, what are you finding in the environment right now?
Yeah, no, so I think many of our clients have adopted a remote workforce model, giving their employees the ability to do either fully remote, either some sort of hybrid approach. Now, with that, the big question then becomes, how do we secure data security for the company? And so that's where we've we really leveraged various solutions from Microsoft to drive that security. I would say the other piece too is more companies are leveraging virtual assistants offshore in countries either in Mexico or in the Philippines to help advance some of their workloads. And so then again, security comes into question on how are we making sure that, again, data security is top of mind in that.
So Dave, it's interesting you talk about that. It made me think back to Craig's question about 4 years ago in the pandemic. And one of the major shifts that came out of the pandemic was everybody worked from home, which didn't happen before. And as we kind of figured at that time, we weren't necessarily going back. The toothpaste was out. It wasn't going back in the tube. People figured out that working virtually was going to be a thing. What has really, let's just say the last few years, been like with trying to keep things secure? It feels like, and I'm in the risk management world of insurance and business continuity and all of that. It feels like it's a never-ending battle because it's shifting and changing and becoming even more complicated daily. Can you talk a little bit about just security in an IT world?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think in today's landscape, security is getting more and more complex. I think threats are becoming more and more complex, and they're coming in from different channels. And so, I think what Microsoft provides as a solution, especially leveraging, I think the buzzword right now is AI, right? So how do we kind of leverage AI to drive auto remediation in some of these security threats? Is really kind of the approach we've been taking with a lot of our clients, and then also getting more proactive. While we understand that there is a cost to these added solutions. I mean, Dan, I'm sure you can appreciate that from a risk management standpoint. It is far better to be on the proactive than necessarily the reactive, especially when it comes to any sort of breach or data loss. And so that is really kind of the angle we take with our clients.
Yeah. When I think about Microsoft and security, the other thing that's really coming into play a lot is AI is showing up everywhere. So in your world, is AI a bigger threat from trying to like fend off data issues that are coming out, people being able to impersonate coworkers, things like that? Or is AI empowering businesses? Or where is the benefit and risk for you when it comes to AI rolling out?
Yeah, no, that's a good question, Craig. So I think it's twofold. Yeah, there is some risk and I think unknowns with AI. I think, but in the other angle though is, there's more room for human error. And so I think if we can put and leverage solutions like what Microsoft offers in their security stack, for auto remediation and threat detection, then I think we'll be getting ahead of and fending off of these threats early on.
All right. Well, we are not at threat of missing a commercial break because, Dave, we got to pay the bills. So we're going to take a short break to hear from today's Spotlight sponsor. When we come back with our guest, Dave Galy, for our Hot or Not section of the show, We're going to switch a little bit, talk a lot about entrepreneurship, and see what he wants to, or what Dave thinks about peer groups. Don't walk away. We'll be right back with more of the Shrimp Tank. EO Accelerator is a coaching program for Seattle area business owners who want to grow their existing small businesses beyond $1 million in annual revenue. As a small business owner, you face new challenges every day, whether it's deciding how you're going to fill out a rush of new orders, puzzling out where to find new customers, or sweating about making payroll. Do you find yourself wishing you had an instruction manual in your business? At EO Accelerator, our mission is to empower entrepreneurs with the tools, accountability, and community to aggressively grow and master their business. This is more than theory. This is entrepreneurs helping entrepreneurs. With top Seattle leaders who have been where you are, volunteering as coaches and mentors in the Accelerator program. Because the hustle will only get you so far. The next level of success is a team sport. Want to hit $1 million in revenue? Join the club.
All right. Thank you, Dan. And welcome back to the Shrimp Tank, where we are interviewing the best and brightest CEOs and thought leaders in the greater Puget Sound area. I'm Craig Swanson, and our guest today is Dave Galy for our next segment, Hot or Not.
So, Dave, I know that you've listened to the show. You probably have heard us doing Hot or Not. You know where this is where Craig and I are going to pepper you with questions about business, about life. Maybe we'll throw in some hiking and Wazoo, Cougar, and Husky stuff. I don't know. We'll figure that out along the way. At the end, you win absolutely nothing, but we hope you have a good time. So I mentioned peer groups. I don't know if you're part of a peer group or not, but peer groups are something that are very popular among CEOs and entrepreneurs and founders. So hot or not, peer groups?
Hot.
Okay, you have to explain now. You got to go on. Tell us why they're hot.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think the entrepreneurship journey is I found it can be lonely at times, and I think having a peer group that understands the journey of really the blood, sweat, and tears that is required to create something, to create a vision, and so having a solid sounding board that you can rely on, because I think the reality is your family can only do so much, and so yeah, peer group is definitely very, very hot.
Absolutely. I love that. More on entrepreneurship, because you've in the last 4 years you've started up. So what do you think is fundamentally more important for a new entrepreneur? Book learning, like knowing your stuff on a mechanical level, knowing all the details, or street smarts, being able to figure out how to like work through and sell and like all those details? So book or street smarts?
Ooh, Craig, that's a tough one. So, I mean, I'm not going to give you a direct answer. I'm going to have to choose something in the middle, because there's really a blend, at least in our space. You have to understand, the technical and some book side of things in technology, but there's definitely a level of street smarts of being able to have conversations, open-ended questions, really build relationship, understand who your customer is, to then ultimately, create what the right solution is for them.
So, and reading your bio, you like doing things in the outdoors, and we live in a great place to do that. I'm going to ask you probably a very easy question, but I'd like to hear more of your thoughts on it. Hot or not, finding life balance, and maybe balance, maybe it's more of an integration between work and fun.
I would say it's hot. It's hot because it's challenging, right? I think we're to be a successful entrepreneur and run a successful business. You need to get rest. You need to get away from the business, and for me, skiing and in the outdoors really provides that reprieve to be able to come back with more clear vision and energy.
Yeah, that's really important. We talked a little bit about it, but for you personally, hot or not, this whole remote work revolution that we're going through?
I do have to say hot. Our remote force, actually our workforce is fully remote. So we've got part of the team in the UK, in New Zealand, in India, and so being able to find the ability for us to collaborate and is definitely definitely hot for
That's
remote.
right. I actually wanted to follow up because you just described like this triangle around the world. Did you pick those locations because they provide 24-hour access, or is it just from a coincidence of like where the good people were available?
Yeah, no. So one, yes, you hit it on with 24-hour support, but then the other piece too is between the UK and New Zealand, we found that the UK accent is very hot. I think in the US, people find it it's attractive, it's disarming. Doing some A/B testing, our NPS survey scores came back higher with that, and I get emails all the time from our clients saying, "Hey, I just talked to James, and his accent is just so fun," and so we found great success with that.
That's really amazing. I also like the UK. My Siri is a British woman. I just find I find that I like it very much. So anyway, it's funny that you say that. And you talked about property management. That's your main clientele. Did I hear you say that correctly?
Yeah, Dan. Yeah, property management.
Okay. Has there been any concern? I'm curious just because of what's happened remotely. Now, I know some of it, property management is personal. How much of your work revolves around the commercial industry versus the personal industry? And have you seen any decline in property management needs on the commercial side among your clients?
Yeah, great question. So our focus is primarily on supporting property management companies in the residential space.
Residential, okay.
Yep. Yeah. So I would say, just to add some comment to that is, the reality is it is a pretty resilient space because either developers are either buying land or they're building on land. And so definitely residential is I would say continuing to expand.
Hmm. What got you into that? How did you pick that as a particular industry you wanted to focus on?
That's I mean, I think we could probably have a separate podcast just on that, Craig. But I'll keep it short. But in wrapping up my bachelor's, we hit the 2008 downturn, and I actually my family's been in real estate development, and it was kind of, well, I need to find a job to pay the bills, and I quickly discovered, what, it's actually pretty fun, and great industry to be in. And so it was,
I want to keep on your entrepreneurial journey, though. I mean, I know you worked at Microsoft and all of that. What was it? Was there at some point something in your head that just clicked that says, I want to own my own business? I want, because I'm always interested how entrepreneurs, how people who've started their businesses, what was that genesis moment for you?
yeah. So I think the beautiful thing about Microsoft is that, as large as the company is, and I mean, Azure really operated in really kind of an entrepreneur startup environment, right? As large as Azure is. I think for me, it was really wanting to go beyond the framework and the verticals and what I was doing there, and I just saw more of a need in being able to drive a larger impact. And naturally, I'm pretty risk averse, but I think part of one thing I challenged myself is to let's get out, let's stretch, let's try something new. I mean, at worst case, we can reinvent things if this doesn't work. But I really believed in myself, and I really believed in the opportunity.
Well, and you have this niche you're just talking about with the property management. When you made the switch, when you founded Sparta Services, talk a little bit about, okay, now you got to go out and get clients. That's the street smarts. A lot of a lot of what Craig was talking about, the street smarts. You have this niche, and now you have clients all over the world. talk about that process and what you had to do to go out and start bringing in clients I think probably at the time you probably didn't have many employees. You had to kind of go out and do it on your own, right?
Yeah. No. So really, when it comes from a street smart standpoint, it really is it starts with me, right? It starts with, what do I believe? And so I believed in what I was doing. I believed in the vision of where we were going, and it was just the intention of evangelizing it, engaging with people. I was lucky enough that I had a good friend who owns a management company, who I had a speaking opportunity, and from there it really opened up a couple of really good opportunities where some clients took a risk. They believed in what I was doing, and the vision of where we were going. And to this day, they're all with us still, and we appreciate all of them.
That's right. We have a lot of entrepreneurs that watch this show, and I'm actually just thinking about what you've done is kind of special in the sense that a lot of service-based companies just have clients where they are. You have clients all over the United States, and you kind of went there pretty quick early in your business. It's not like you built out an entire Seattle clientele based and then moved out. So just mechanically, you said a little bit of speaking, like how do you go get those clients? Are you cold calling? Are they calling you from referral? Like for other entrepreneurs that are kind of attracted to this larger market that you're serving, how do you actually get clients out of your region?
So up until recently, we actually didn't do any work out of Washington. All of our clients are really majority on the East Coast and kind of scattered throughout the Central and Midwest. And so really, the best source of referral has been asking our clients for a referral and for a recommendation. And we've grown organically just by really word of mouth. And now we're growing through other corporate partnerships. And so
I'm curious because I love the process of acquiring new clients. I'm guessing, Dave, and maybe I'm wrong, but I'm guessing when you're even referred into somebody new, they probably already have somebody in place. I would think, or maybe they don't, but let's just say they did. What is it that separates you? What tends to be the reason that businesses are switching to you or taking you on as a provider?
Yeah, so I think really, my background in the industry, having been a property manager, I started on site as an associate in a community in California, and then I've worked my ranks all the way up to starting a property management division for a company, and so I really understand really end to end, boots on the ground, what the experience is like. So when I come in and learn about their organization, I'm able to relate quickly, and I think part of it is really psychology, right? I mean, people want to be heard. People want to know that you're not just going to come in and provide a bunch of solutions, but you know what it's like. You know the pain of having an upset homeowner on the phone, and the phone call drops, right? So you want to rely on systems, and so I think the relatability is a differentiator for us, for sure.
One of the things I love about businesses that focus on particular clients is they tend to acquire a language and a knowledge and just an understanding of quirks that would be invisible to everybody outside of that industry. So is there any quirk or unique thing that a lot of property managers have in common as clients that really would not be on the radar for any other type of client?
So I would say kind of a quirk would be, the property managers are under a lot of pressure, right? I think we're with this AI, revolution, getting access to data and people faster, getting responses faster. So I think, there's the quirk being is that people are having to do more with less. So with kind of the finite amount of time that there is, we're seeing a little bit of the pressure from managers needing to do more, and so we're having to get more creative with solutions to be able to get there.
Well, hard to believe that we've gotten to about the 2/3 part of our show. We're going to take our second commercial break to hear from our corporate sponsors. And when we come back with our guest, Dave Galy, for our Plead the Fifth section of the show, we're going to ask Dave about his likes and dislikes. Don't walk away. We'll be right back with more of the Shrimp Tank. And Plead the Fifth is brought to you by our corporate sponsors, Ideal Life 360, Cornerstone Financial, First Underwriters Insurance, BC Fitness Studio, Port Ludlow Resort. Please visit our website at shrimptankpodcast.com/Seattle to learn more about these terrific companies. Now back to the show.
All right, and welcome back to the Shrimp Tank, where we interview the best and the brightest thought leaders from the greater Puget Sound area. I'm co-host Craig Swanson, and our guest today is Dave Galy. For our next segment, Plead the Fifth.
Plead the Fifth, Dave, is we're going to turn up the heat a little bit, pepper you with some more questions. You can plead the fifth once if you want to, but that's all you can do. After that, the gloves come off. So we'll see if you plead the fifth or not. I think mine's got, the first one is one I'm really interested in asking people of all different industries. What is it that you like most and dislike the most? So what is in your industry, what do you like most and what do you dislike most?
That's a great question. So I would say, I love coming in and hearing, challenges that clients are having and giving them, what the options and, giving and painting the picture of what the world of possibilities are to unblock some of these challenges that they're happening. Now, as it relates to things that I dislike, I think it can be challenging at times with having to work later hours. Having a remote workforce where you've got fast sprints for solutions, and so at times it can be a little bit challenging juggling work-life balance. But it creates forces a bit more mindfulness in needing to do that.
That actually is related to what so my question was going to be about time zones, because I've worked worldwide for years, virtually, and it's not that many people that I get to ask this of, but like, what is your relationship with time zones? And what time zone do you natively live on, considering your clients are not in the Puget Sound region?
Yeah, Craig, I oftentimes am asking myself, what time is it? Where am I at the moment? Where do I need to be? I'm oftentimes on a flight either to go see a client or what. And so I would say more times than not. I do live off of the Pacific Standard Time, but nonetheless, I am working around the clock on Pacific Standard Time, whether our clients are 6 a.m. here and it's 9 a.m. there, or if it's 4 a.m. So it definitely is a little bit of a juggle, but I think that's where I rely heavily on my calendar to make sure I know where I need to be.
Do you have one of those clocks like they used to have in the banks, where they've got like all the different time zones up that's right in your visual range?
What's funny is our so for Sparta, our internal portal we have on our page, we've got all the time zones where we've got all of our clients, and then also where we have our team as well. So yeah, we do have a board where all of our time zones are kind of listed.
So I've got to ask, because I don't know if I've spoken to anybody, Dave, quite like you who's done that. Does that mess up your sleeping? I know that my body is pretty regulated to a certain time. And I know when it's time to get up, and I know when it's time to go to sleep. Do you find yourself having your internal clock messed up?
So at times it can be challenging. I think part of it is really, what I've learned, and a good friend of mine told me was, so you got to do the hard thing. When your body says it doesn't want to get up per se, sometimes you just got to push a little further. So it was a little more in the tank to push. And so it can be difficult. I found myself, even kind of juggling work-life balance, as I found myself, making it to the gym late at night. Well, not necessarily ideal, but it's refreshing to be able to get up in the morning.
So
right.
Craig, I know, I didn't get my caught or not. Or not, may plead the fifth. I'm going to ask this one really quickly. I know that you talked a little bit about your love for the outdoors. If I said you can't run Sparta Services anymore, you can't do anything in IT anymore, in property management, you got to start a business based on a hobby. What would the hobby be? What would the business be?
Ooh, that's a good question, Dan. So I would say, um, my next thought would be how do we bring technology back to the ski industry? What role does AI play in ski resorts? And maybe even with lifties and lift operations. So I think there's something in the back of my mind there as well.
I don't know. Actually, there might be a bridge from property management to event and location management. I know you might be able to like play that with what you got. All right. You're in the grinding mode. You're in the grinding road right now. Like I totally identify with this part of entrepreneurship. What's your golden ticket at the end? Like you hit all the success you want. What's your reward for yourself? Like what are you holding out for at the end of all this work, if there's something that you hold as a vision? How do you reward yourself after this all pays off?
Yeah, so I was on a flight to the Dominican Republic for a conference just a few weeks ago, and I was actually really thinking about Sparta's mission, vision, and values, and what's really core to us and important, and really our people is are most important, right? I mean, at the end of the day, it's not about me, but for me, it's about how much can we give away. I think there's a vision and a goal that I have, and really kind of the play on words here with Sparta Services, right? One, we serve our clients, but two, we serve our community. So I think really the vision here is to really be able to support more of our communities. We want to be able to give away more. We want to be able to support either women in tech. We want to be able to really accelerate technology and getting more involvement in that. So.
All right, cool. And I got one just super quick question, just because you talk about all this flying. What's your frequent flyer mileage look like at this point? Like how many miles have you flown?
I mean, I think definitely up over 7 figures at this point. So.
All right. Well, Dave, thank you so much for being a guest on the Shrimp Tank. For our listeners that would like to get in touch with you, learn more about your company, potentially there's a fit and they're interested in like talking about hiring you. How do they find out about you? How do they contact you?
You can find me connect with me on LinkedIn. You can reach out to me through our website as well. Those are probably the two best channels.
Fantastic. All right. Thank you for joining us today. And for all of you watching, make sure you check out the replays at shrimptankpodcast.com/Seattle and wherever you get your podcast. iHeart, Apple, SoundCloud. I'm an Overcast listener myself. Please follow us on the show's social media pages on YouTube and Facebook, and give us a like on whatever you like. Use your podcast player of choice.
Well, Dave, thank you very much. I really enjoyed meeting you and learning more about your business. Best wishes to you as you move forward with Sparta Services. Thanks for being on the show. Craig, as always, good to see you. I know we'll be back in touch next month for the next one. Until then, wishing you a great month. Everybody, do exactly what Craig says. Like us on our Facebook page. Then you'll know about our live stream show every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Pacific. Our next show will be Wednesday, March 13th. We're going from technology today to Botox. Monica Mayfield does Botox for all the celebrities in the Seattle area. We're going to learn a little bit more about her. Our co-host for this show will be Vanessa Laughlin. In the meantime, be safe, be well, and be prosperous. Because until next week, the shrimp is back in the tank. So long.
I've been feeling like a shark in a shrimp tank. Big fish, small pond in the shrimp